Welcome to the Kitsap Matters podcast. In each episode, we discuss the people, places, and things that make Kitsap County unique, covering local entertainment, restaurants, business, government, and anything else we find interesting, troubling, or just plain amusing. A brief disclosure, this is a community-focused podcast, not a financial podcast, but sometimes financial topics do arise. And since the host is a licensed financial professional, we have to include the following disclosure in every episode. The strategies and concepts discussed are for educational purposes only and do not represent specific investment, tax, or estate planning advice. Investing carries an inherent element of risk, and it's in everyone's best interest to consult a tax, legal, or investment professional. Kevin Campbell is an investment representative of, and advisory services are offered through USA Financial Securities Corporation, a registered investment advisor located at 6020 East Fulton Street, Ada, Michigan, 49301. Peaks Financial is not affiliated with USA Financial Securities Corporation. Hi, and welcome to the Kitsap Matters podcast. My name is Kevin Campbell. I'm thrilled today to be sharing time today with my co-host, Christine Campbell, and our guest, Mike Sciacca. Did I get that right this time?
Perfect.
Awesome. From the Gypsy Jazz Band, Ranger and the Rearrangers. Mike, thanks for joining us here today.
Pleasure to be here, Kevin.
Awesome. So if you're familiar with our firm, Peaks Financial, then you likely know about our proprietary process known as the SAIL formula. We use the word formula in the name of our process for two reasons. First, the word itself suggests that there are specific steps or ingredients involved in the process, which is very true. In addition, the first four letters of the word formula, form, stand for something or stand for some of the core elements of our planning philosophy. If you've gone through our planning process, this is going to sound familiar to you. And if you haven't, it's going to provide a little insight into our approach. So the SAIL formula is really about the intersection of what matters most to you and what you can control. Now, we know that the things that matter most to most people are things like family, which is what the F stands for, occupation, which is what the O stands for, recreation, which is what the R stands for, and M, it stands for money. And you'll notice that comes last. That's by design. So what's fun about this planning approach is that it also provides a great outline for these interviews. So today we're going to spend a little time with our guest, Mike, getting to know more about him and the things that matter to him. So let's get started. Thanks for being here, Mike.
All right. Glad to be here.
Thanks for being here, Christine.
Thanks.
Awesome. So, Mike, we met because you are part of Ranger and the Rearrangers, and you are playing at the Summer Nights at the Bay concert series in Poulsbo, which is Peaks Financial is one of the sponsors of that event.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear you.
Oh,
Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
It's going to be so much fun.
Excellent.
So tell us, tell us a little bit about Ranger and the Rearrangers.
So yeah, Ranger and the Rearrangers, we've been a band here in Kitsap County since 2006. It started, the genesis of it was Ranger, who's my son, and I visited the Samois-sur-Sienne in France, where the big Django Reinhardt Festival is. And on the way back, we were just so taken by the music and how beautiful it was, and how even the minor songs sound really uplifting. And on the way back, we kind of put our minds to say, you know, we could play this music. We had been playing some swing music before that, and we thought it's a version of swing. It's American. It's an intersection of, say, of American swing tunes and French, and even some Romani or Gypsy languages, music languages. So we that was 2006. We got the band started, and ever since then, the band's been performing. In a typical year, about 100 times a year.
Wow, that's a lot.
So we're twice this weekend, and
Wow, that's a
we're
busy
summer. We're 16 in July, so we're booked.
You are popular.
We are popular, and we market well. I think that's part of it too. We get a lot of marketing,
And that's a lot of performances. And do many of the band members work outside of music? So are they balancing? They're balancing all that in addition to.
I think yes. Two of us are retired, the two oldsters, and then three other guys are all employed, have a day job.
Wow.
That's a lot in addition to having a day job.
Right.
100 performances in a year.
Right. Ranger himself he's also in the gig economy in his second job, so he has some flexibility there with his timing and so forth.
Awesome.
How far do you travel?
We typically, we're a Western Washington band, so we've been to Port Angeles. On that side, say Bellingham is typical reach to the north. This year we're going to be in Centralia, so that'll be about the farthest south we've been. And then we often are in Chelan or Eastern Washington, a little easier to get to for, it's east once, especially during the summer. So about Western Washington. Years ago we took a trip to San Diego, but that was a one-off. We're mostly a Western Washington regional band.
So do you find that you have people come from further out because they hear you're coming to town?
It's hard to know. We have some fans. Ranger has a list that he maintains of it's over 1,000, I think, names of people who have signed up on our mailing list, and they get a monthly email. And some of those people travel.
Awesome.
Yeah, on occasion. Most of them wait until we're in their neighborhood because we do so many locations. We do many times in Seattle and in various spots. So typically people will wait till we're in their backyard. Okay, that's fine.
So, and how long? So you and Ranger have been playing together for a long time, and you're both musicians. How long have you been playing?
I've been playing since I was a boy, since 7 or 8 years old. I think I got my first guitar when I was about 13, and I've been playing since then. And then Ranger, he started also when he was about 6. So that's going to be 25 years or so that he and I, even when he was coming up as a young musician, I was at the time, I would say a good assessment would be maybe a campfire guitar player. Happy to do that and not really interested in anything more, not really ambition for more. But Ranger, as he started to come up, when he was about 7 or 8 years old, you could tell that he had a spark in him, that he was really something he loved doing and had some talent. So I figured I had to up my game with that. So his dad doesn't look too far behind.
That's awesome that you have this together.
Yes, it is. It's wonderful. It's pinch me. I'm so excited about it every day.
And you've put out a couple of albums, right?
We've got 3 CDs currently out. We did do one originally, which is sort of out of print at the beginning, but yeah, we've put 3 CDs that we have available at the shows and online and other places like that. Well, mainly we're a live band. I have to say that I think the recordings are fine, but we're all live musicians.
If you're doing 100 shows a year, yeah.
Right. One gig means more to me than one CD sale or whatever.
Right.
I don't know.
Awesome.
Do you end up seeing the same people? Like, do you have people that you've met who come to your concerts who've become friends because they're there every time?
Of course. Yes, we do. Yeah, we have every time you look in the audience, there's a dancer group that, when we appear at the dancer organizations, they're there. And you bet. And of course, we're Bainbridge based mostly. Although Jeff lives in Lamolo and Mick lives over near Silverdale, and so we're a Kitsap band. And so when we see many of our friends.
Awesome.
Often.
So what's the most fun part about doing what you do?
The most fun part for me, which I totally did not expect, was the idea that not everybody can make every gig. We have a really strong value in our band, that family first, just like your formula. So many, we tell people, if you're in the band and you've got a birthday or something else you need to do, you do that. And we have a nice row of substitutes who are terrific players. Some of them are just the most outstanding players could be. So that I didn't anticipate. I thought, well, when you form a band, you play with the same 5 people all the time and you develop a repertoire, but that's not true, especially in the field we're in, gypsy jazz or hot club swing. There's a canon. There's 100, 200 songs that everybody who plays this music knows. So oftentimes when I'd say with no exceptions, when we even have sit-ins, we never rehearse or practice with them. We have a chord book that we bring. And so that's, for me, that was one of the things that I really didn't think I was going to get out of it or even anticipated. Didn't even have any idea that this would be part of it, that I would have 100 people, which is about our list of people that we have that sit in with us, who I share music with, I learn from, I grow with them. they learn our stuff. So it's that part of it, that multi-player thing where you've got a lot of friends all of a sudden who are team players with you and doing something that you all love. That's a big part for me.
I'd heard before, we were having a conversation one day with a gentleman who is in a different band here in Kitsap, down in Poulsbo. And he was saying that the Kitsap music scene is different than many other parts of the country that he's played in. And he was describing that exact same thing. He said here, and we've seen it, we love live music, which is one of the reasons that we're one of the sponsors of the music series. And so we're out quite a bit listening to live music. And the thing that we find entertaining is you'll go to a venue and one night and you'll see a band, and you'll go the next week and it'll be a different band. And you go back the third week and it's half and half of those two bands, right? I mean, what we've heard is that the music scene here is very friendly, where in other parts of the country, it's actually very competitive.
Cutthroat, yeah.
Yeah, where they won't, like if you're down a bass player, well, that's too bad for you.
Yeah.
Right?
You know,
it's a collaborative process.
We tried to do that. I think one of the evidences, to support that is when we can't take a gig, at first we would just say, here's Roger Ferguson would be our first call, usually. Roger, who's been teaching here at the Olympic College for decades. But now then when somebody says we can't make a gig because we have a previous engagement, Ranger has a nice long letter he sends out with all the other bands who either play the kind of music we play, play similar type music, and to let our people, let bookers and venues know that, hey, we're part of a network that you can rely on us. And they were like, oh, good. Okay, we'll just call that person and get that band. So
That's awesome.
We enjoy passing on gigs to other.
And that's neat, right? And that's great. And it's good for everybody.
It comes around.
Yeah,
it
does.
comes around.
Yeah.
It comes around when you're friendly with people. It works.
So what's the flip side of the coin? What's been the most challenging part of it?
Oh, the most challenging part by far is to try to stay up with Ranger. Oh, goodness gracious. We have Ranger and the three other guys in the band are all extraordinary musicians, and I am not that extraordinary musician. I'm more I play rhythm guitar in the band. So keeping up with these, Mick Nicholson, who's our bass player, has had 22 years in the Navy band, 11 in Washington, D.C., playing many times at the White House and at the State Department and all the cool Navy bands, including Country Current, which is their top level. So Mick is an outrageously good player. Jeffrey Moose, who is our drummer, has been in the arts and music since he was a boy and has been playing drums and percussion. He plays kind of an Afro-Cuban percussion set. So he's no slouch when it comes to keeping things. And then our regular third guy is Dave Stewart, who's a self-taught mandolin piano player, but he really is an extraordinary musician. He has his own business where he does computer graphics. He's all self-taught and can just polymath might be a word that you might use for Dave. Oftentimes Dave, we don't really rehearse that much with Dave because he's so good that we can spring things on him and he does just great.
Wow.
So it's sometimes he does so, because it's the first time through and he hasn't heard it. Sometimes it takes him a while to get back to that point that he did that first time. Sometimes he really adds things. So yeah, for the most challenging thing for me, stay up on my game, keep my chops up, because that's part of it too. It's not just knowing things. You have to be able to repeat them quickly. Without stress. I mean, when you're on stage, you don't want stress. You don't want to be stressing out. It's going to ruin it. You're gonna mess up if you're stressful. So you've got to get to the point where you're really confident. Now, I'm very confident because I know no matter where we play, we've got Ranger and we've got Dave, and we're going to wow. Those are the two soloists. They're going to wow the crowd. But I view my role as serving. The other three of us, the rhythm section, needs to put the focus on the soloist. So for me, by far, the most challenging thing is staying up with the big kids.
I was watching an interview with a guitarist, and he was saying that he's always feels like he's being chased down, right? He's like kind of what you were talking about. He's like, I feel like I'm just trying to keep up with these guys. He's like, feels like they're, he's like, I'm going as fast as I can to try to keep up with everybody.
Right. And it can be disappointing if you don't. And you can hear it when maybe you're the only one that can hear it. But when you hear it, if you're a little late or a little early, you feel, oh gosh, and that wouldn't work in the recording studio,
Right.
or that sort of thing. So it is a challenge.
So what do you think is the biggest misconception that people like, if, for example, if somebody says, hey, you guys are playing music all the time, you must be able to do XYZ, or that kind of thing. What's the biggest misconception?
Oh, wow. I haven't thought about that, but one of the misconceptions that comes up often is people presume that you're a uber fan, that you really know all music. They come in there and they might have genres that they know very well, and they presume that you have the knowledge about their genre, which I don't. I listen to music, a lot of music in our genre, because I'm trying to grow and learn, and I want to get the latest techniques and see what kind of cool chord shapes people are using and that sort of things. But outside of my genre, I'm now, maybe some of the other guys are. I know that maybe that's not a problem with Jeff, for example, who listens to jazz very, very broadly, or Mick, who's got hundreds. We'll have way more gigs than I've ever done with way more people, and he knows a lot of music outside the genre. But for me, people come up all the time and assume I'm up to speed on the latest bluegrass bands. I'm not.
Right? Yeah.
I like bluegrass. However,
exactly. I like it. I love hearing the good stuff, but I can't. I don't know the cool songs or the cool chord progressions. I don't know anything about that.
So you're in a business, if you will, of music, which is what a lot of people do for recreation, right? That's what they do on their free time, is go listen to music. That's what we do. We do quite a bit of. And that's why when the opportunity came up to sponsor the summer nights in Poulsbo, we went, absolutely, we're in. This will be a lot of fun, because we're going to be there anyways. So we might as well be a presence. So since what you do is something that most people do for recreation, what do you do for recreation? You go listen to other bands?
Not a lot. I wish I had time, but usually, with 100 gigs a year, I do go to listen to other bands, say in the genre, and I do go to a fair amount of music festivals that are specifically teaching oriented. That there's some element of learning going on. I go to Centrum's activities that they have up there. Really, they have some excellent programs up in Port Townsend. So I do that, and speaking for myself. So then I bike ride and try to get the exercise that a 70-year-old chubby guy should get.
Yep.
So so in the family, obviously you and Ranger, you have other musicians in the family as well?
Not in our immediate family, although both Barb, my wife, and Kate, Ranger's sister, have some ability. They're not, but I guess on this point, it's most interesting to know that Ranger, I'm Sicilian. My parents were born in the country, but they were really Sicilians, and their ancestors and my mother's family was full of musicians. That, in fact, they came to America in the early teens and 20s when they arrived here, being very competent Italian musicians. They came to America and learned jazz. So my mother was a really big jazz fan, and really she loved.
So this is generational.
This is generational, I think. So, but Ranger's got his own, he's got talent. But that's those are the main. It's come those folks who came early on, and as I grew up too, my mom valued it. Her brothers were musicians. She herself, in those days, didn't get the opportunity, but she was a arranger. She would go to a gig and tell the band guys what order to play the tunes in, and she was at a lot of the rehearsals, which were held in her living room. So she was inundated with it too. So somewhere in there we got it. I think Barb's family, my wife's family, similarly loved music.
It's in the blood.
I don't know if there was I think it's in the blood of all of us. I think to be human is to be musical.
Oh, that's the beat.
Yeah, that is.
So if one of the things we talk a lot with, obviously, as you know, Peaks Financial, a wealth management company, we talk a lot about retirement with people, and because that's what a lot of them are here for, is retirement planning. And one of the things that we talk about is the importance of staying active in retirement and having something to do. And so this sounds like, I mean, obviously you're for a retired guy, you're pretty busy.
I'm pretty busy for a retired guy. I am. And
how do you, because I'm sure you have, we probably have friends who are not quite as busy. How do you, if you can, articulate a little bit about how you view this as what you've been doing? How has it affected your retirement, and how has it been? How is the pros and the cons? Both sides.
I would. Most of the people I know of my age are also into music, because it's not. I'm not just in this band. I have a quote unquote hobby band that plays 3 or 4 times, maybe more a year, made up of all people of my age. And so what I've observed is that people who are you don't have to get to the level of being a professional. I consider myself a professional, at least quasi-professional, with a band that plays 100 times a year. But even to practice, you know, I play other instruments. I practice them. I'm a beginner at some of the instruments that I play, or maybe an advanced beginner. And I still go after it. It's just a matter of, I think, so to get to the point, I think as far as a retirement occupation is turned into, for me, not as important as having music in your life and performing it. I think as an older person, it's a great way to build brain cells. It builds, you actually build brain cells. Studies have shown this, that when you're, as a musician, you are building hardware in your brain that knows those tunes. So I can't highly recommend it enough to people who are of any age, but especially as time gets available. When you retire, one of the things that happens is time gets available. Fill your dreams. You can make with the proper instrument and the proper, you know, you don't have to be a genius or a professional or have studied for years and years to make noises that are pretty darn musical. You know, you don't have to do that. Many people kind of go at it as if, oh, I'm going to, you know, go fast. To me, it comes down to like little chunks of music that you can do during the day. Every time you do that, you're exercising, you're adding oxygen to those neurons. So I'm a big believer in that. Everybody, in my own feeling, I see Kevin's guitar.
There's hope for you.
Yes, yeah, and like you say, you don't have to be an extremely high level in order to get a lot out of music.
Well, you know, one thing you said a minute ago is you said you consider yourself a professional musician because you're playing, you know, almost every 3 days, something like that, right? Yeah. Or performing, not just playing, but actually performing. If you're performing 100 nights a year, that's about just a little about every 3 days.
Very busy in the
somebody was recently telling me, they were asking, as you mentioned earlier, that you saw the Stratocaster in my office, that I'm just starting to learn to play. And right now it sounds, as I mentioned earlier, like somebody's harming a small animal. But a friend of mine was asking me, you know, how's it going? And I said exactly that. And he's like, you know, I heard somebody say recently that if you're playing music X amount of time, and I don't remember what the time frame was, then you can call yourself a musician. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so I'm a musician. I'm just a really crappy one.
Yeah, it grows on you to the point where sometimes you're not really the best evaluator of your own skill.
Oh no, it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's bad.
But if you simplify and get things down to their basics, and you can, you know, part of the motivator or the thing that keeps me going, and I go back to daily, is like, I want my practice to sound musical. And I'm willing to not challenge myself to the harder stuff. I'm willing not to go there until I've got 10 or 15 minutes in of stuff that sounds good. So I try to keep
get some small wins in.
Yeah, get the things, you know, and nail those and make it sound good by going slowly, because, you know, sometimes a legato note, one that's held a long time, it's the prettiest thing in the world. you don't have to be a shredder or a pusher to sound, or a ranger, I will say, because a ranger is very, very, very fast. But you don't have to play at that level to sound musical. And that's the beauty. One of the beauties of it is that when you do sound beautiful, it's like the person who hits that one good golf shot that like lands on the green. You go, I'm coming back tomorrow. Yeah. And that's the victories you get when you sound good.
That's awesome.
And now, so you said that the band's been together since 2006, right? So coming up on 20 years.
Yep.
So I'm guessing when you started this, were you not yet retired? Were you still working?
I was not retired. I was still working.
And what was your career previous?
Oh, I had the strangest career that you can imagine, but to summarize, I practiced engineering for a while, then I practiced law for a while, then I was an executive with trade associations and professional societies. I was a CEO of some regional and national. And then at the end, I went back to teaching. I've taught for the last 10 years, back in engineering. I did some engineering things.
Full circle.
So I had a lot of crazy things that I did.
I consider music to be engineering because you are building and it is a language, and there is a lot of math in music.
There is. Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah, there is. There is very similar.
Awesome. I'm drawing a blank on what I was just about to ask.
I'm so sorry. I must have knocked it right out of your head.
No, it was there a second ago and it just went fizzle.
Well, Christine's got a question.
I do. This is the question that anytime that we have a guest on, I have to ask the same question. If you were to have a reality TV show built just for you, what you want, what would it be about and what would you name it?
Wow, that's a really hard question. A reality TV show, and what would it be about? It would probably be about music, I think. That would be my area. Although it could be my own. This question makes me really arrogant, and it makes me give, but anyway, wisdom of wit and wisdom, and the name of it would be Wit and Wisdom.
It's perfect.
There we go.
That's perfect. Wit and Wisdom with
music.
Music by Ranger and the Rearrangers.
Yeah, right, exactly. The intro. Oh, we can sketch it out right now. No.
Yeah, the wit and wisdom of music.
I am not going to stick to any of that because you just threw the question at me, and I'm not going to live by any of that.
Awesome. So, you are playing. I know I'm sure you have a full concert schedule or a full schedule, but I know that you're playing here in Poulsbo for the Summer Nights at the Bay on August 8th at the Waterfront Pavilion.
Yes, indeed.
And we really look forward to seeing you there. Where can people find out about your event schedule and all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
your website, Facebook,
all that good stuff. We have all that, and then if you just Google Ranger in the Rearrangers, it goes to our page. Our page happens to be called rangerswings.com is our web page. And we do have Facebook, and then if you really like what you see or you really can't get enough of this music, at that web page you can give us your email, and then you get Ranger sends out once a month. We send where we're going to be, that particular month, or maybe where we're going to be
next couple of weeks,
Yeah, usually a month. We do one a month, so that's the best way to stay in touch with the band.
Awesome. So Google Ranger and the Rearrangers. Mike, thanks a lot for being here with us today. We really appreciate you coming and being on the show. We're really looking forward to hearing you guys, and we'll see you on the 8th because we'll be there.
See you then. Okay.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Look forward to it.
Thanks. A brief disclosure. This is a community-focused podcast, not a financial podcast, but sometimes financial topics do arise. And since the host is a licensed financial professional, we have to include the following disclosure in every episode. The strategies and concepts discussed are for educational purposes only and do not represent specific investment, tax, or estate planning advice. Investing carries an inherent element of risk, and it's in everyone's best interest to consult a tax, legal, or investment professional. Kevin Campbell is an investment representative of, and advisory services are offered through USA Financial Securities Corporation, a registered investment advisor located at 6020 East Fulton Street, Ada, Michigan, 49301. Peaks Financial is not affiliated with USA Financial Securities Corporation.